for this Brewmaster last overall, though, on G2.iG. I feel like they've got the ways to be able to pop the Cinder Brew still. Obviously, he didn't even go the rolling barrel as well on the Brewmaster as well. Opted to go for the Drunken Master instead. So really just wanting to buff up, again, that movement speed. They want to be able to chase people down. They're constantly just going to be going for kills. So I feel like if that doesn't come off, if you're really on point with, saving your TPs, making these rotations, having stuff like the stun saved up for those, tower dive attempts, I'm expecting to see some, aggressive glyphs as well when they're pushing in under the tower, right? That's the sort of thing that is going to enable G2.iG's draft quite heavily. I look at Old 11, the neck god himself, and it's always been the case where it's either he dominates or he feeds. And I feel like Pudge is one of those heroes that kind of fits a similar sort of mentality. So we could be getting ready for one of the greatest Pudge games of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone's going to dethrone Dendi from the TI3 days, but I don't know how I feel about the Pudge itself, especially for that lane, right? CM Ursa is pretty scary.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to keep coming back to this, right? It's all very old school Dota, right? CM Ursa, old school, just kill combo lane. Come at us. You want to fight? We're going to fight you. OD in the mid lane against, some kind of melee hero. That's kind of classic. Pudge is here as well. Feast or famine, that was the old adage we used to use. We had farm for fame back in Dota 1. We had feast or famine players and heroes. Pudge no different. But I want to ask you, if Dendi is number one in, I'm not arguing with that. Okay, Dendi is number one. Let's start it this way. Dendi is number one Pudge player in the world of all time. Who even comes close? Who's second? Who's third? Do you have any names in your head? It just, for me, Dendi takes places 1 through 10, and there's no one else on that list.
Probably Pure, I think. He's made it work from 1 and 3.
That's cool.
He's certainly up there. I think Watson's Pudge is pretty good too. Maybe Old 11 could be there in consideration. So I'm keen to see what he's able to do. Yeah, let's have a look at all the facets while we have a wait here, right? So, Old 11, I think he went for the extra strength from the Dismember, which as a core makes a lot of sense. What are some of the other ones? Gyro has the secondary call down, I believe, secondary strikes. So it's kind of like a mini homing missile, but with call down, which feels certainly interesting with a gyrocopter. Not too often you see it. I don't think I've seen any support gyro actually on this patch. It's been all core.
Yeah, I mean, very often it's paired up with an IO as well. Seen that slip through a fair amount. Yeah, it's very, very, very often picked up that way. I've gone down the rabbit hole now.
Was it?
Sorry?
Tiny wasn't banned at all, just speaking of things pairing together with gyro, and that was really popular in the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think you're right. I was ignored. I've not been a big fan of the carry Tiny. I mean, from what I've seen anyway. I get it, makes sense. I didn't see any particular success out of it. In Eastern European qualifiers that we covered recently, VP made it work, but that's just because VP were the best team in the qualifiers by far.
I think you have to get active with it. You can't play it just this super passive. You're a Tiny, right? That's why it's a support viable hero, because you can roam around, Ava toss into a huge amount of burst damage really early on into the game. And I think when I was covering those same qualifiers, but for China, the only person that made it work was Shiro on LGD. He was really, really good on the hero, both with an IO and without, just because he was able to get so much more aggressive than a lot of the other Tinies that I've seen. So that was a real big reason behind the success.
I've just realized we're going to get flamed for not mentioning art style as a Pudge player, by the way.
True.
It's like pre Dendi even. He was the goated one on Pudge.
That's probably what made Dendi want to play more Pudge, right? He saw art style able to dominate. He's like, hey, give me that hero. I mean, this was when Dendi was playing Rubik as well as a core. So things have changed, but some things do stay the same with a core Pudge coming back. And, of course, Kaka picking Lion.
Kaka, yeah, I mean, war never changes. Kaka picks an Impale hero. It's always going to happen.
He didn't go the punch facet, though. Come on, Kaka. Where's your sense of theater?
Maybe later down the line, right? These are all BO3s. This is game one. Get into the rhythm of things. Get into the groove. He's going to practice his Impales with that extra 25 range on the tail end of them. Get the super long range spikes out. He'll do fine. What for core Pudge? What itemization do we see this game? Is it just like all, or is he an aura bot?
I feel like you need to be like you need to kind of be your initiator, right? Like I don't think you can just
Okay.
rely completely on Karka to be the one to get like the Blink Dagger. Like a Blink Dismember onto a Doom, Brewmaster, it just enables your draft so heavily, right? So I think like that's the sort of way he wants to be able to play. It's not like you have the most setup for a lot of your stuff as well, right? If Lion's going to be able to, you know, land an Earth Spike to enable a hook, then you could probably do the sort of same thing, right? There's no reason for your hook to not be just as viable. So I really just want to see him as that initial setup for fights, make G2.iG take a bad fight, because I feel like Old Warrior has the draft to be able to really punish that.
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking about like him getting from lane into game. You can't rush Blink. You probably want Blade Mail, but I don't know if that's going to be too expensive for you. Can Pudge? Pudge can clear large camp stacks, I guess, but he can't really clear Ancients early, right? He's not like a Centaur or an Axe who, if they have poor lanes, can just be like, I have a Blade Mail. I'm going jungle 5 minutes.
Pretty much.
I'm going to get my Blink somehow.
And you're forced to get a little bit more active as well, right? Just because you obviously want to have a little bit more of that innate ability, the flesh heap starting to build up. So we'll have a look and see if they are able to do that. It's I guess you have the Phoenix, right? But QIQX really isn't going to be in the areas where you want to be making stacks, and it is, to be honest, for their cores outside of the rot, a lot of single target on Old Warrior, right? So maybe we can even see some of this stuff like a bunch of Lotus Orbs starting to come out for G2.iG to be able to counter that, right? Or Lincolns, because you think of all the stuff that's going to be able to set up for things: Astral, Dismember, Chaos Bolt, everything that Lion has to offer. Like, it's all single target. So I really want to see them specifically finding a way to be able to counter that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that can also come naturally. Like, if you are single target, there is this almost automatic mechanical requirement that you dogpile on someone. You know, you start to chain stun, you stun someone, second hero comes, stun someone, and then you are all surrounding this hero, which gives you nice opportunities for, you know, Brew to get in there with a clap of the Cinder Brew, or this Doom with maybe that Blink War Stomp, a cooldown comes, or a Freezing Field from the Fog. It's just going to be those initial item pickups, the Blink Daggers on their big heroes, and maybe the defensive tools they need to keep, you know, drag these fights out, chase people down. I think that's the G2.iG game plan here. Ursa wants those longer fights where he's playing in and out. Doom wants to be on a target to chase them around. Brewmaster, of course, is going to be cycloning the OD or the Phoenix and then dispelling the CK illusions. He's got a few tasks on his plate in the team fights, but I think that's what I like. So I like Old Warrior's draft, but I think I like the most about G2i's draft is that everything is functional and has a plan within the overarching game plan of the team.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just, to be honest, Gary, I'm interested to see a bunch of stuff that I still haven't seen on the patch, right? It's been out for, what, 2 weeks or so? Maybe a tiny bit more. But I've still yet to see a support gyrocopter. I've still yet to see a mid Doom. I've yet to see a Doom, for whatever reason, not go the Devil's Market. So I'm very happy that it's going to be the different this game. And I have not seen a single Pudge, whether it be core or support, coming through. So, I'm kind of going to go into this one with an open mind. Hopefully we get to see a few more of those unique heroes. And, well, I'm interested to see if G2.iG are going to get a scare as well going into this one, because they've got a lot of experience they're going up against. Oof, it'd be horrendous if they drop down this early on into the tournament. And remember, the loser of this series plays that pretty scary roster that came through the Open Qualifiers as well: Chalice, Somnus, Yang, Planet, and Pichio. You've got TI finalists in there. You've got top 4 at TI in there. It is very scary.
Man, you do not want to be in the same bracket line as Team Turtle. You just do not want to drop down there. I was about to make a similar point as well, I guess. You know, thinking with theory crafting all the item build, the facets, the draft, what's going to go where, what lanes, how we set up for team fights. But Dota is a game in which we could literally just have a chasm between these two teams where G2.iG, the well-honed machine that they are, they're very good in laning stage, they're very good at picking their fights. we could see that initial stomp just snowball things out of contention, right? We could like Old Warriors draft, but G2.iG could say, no, every one of our cores is going to be 30 CS with 20 denies, minute 7. What are you going to do about it? Nothing? Yeah, I thought so. That is a distinct possibility in some of these games.
It could even come down to, like, for one of those lanes that we thought might not work out quite as well, like the mid lane, for example, a Doom going up against an OD, not exactly the easiest way to be able to, for example, secure last hits, secure denies. OD is always going to be able to use the Astral Imprisonment to be able to help out with that. If you make a rotation really early on, they've got a smoke board on X Nova. If they're able to get a quick kill with, honestly, not a bad level 1 lineup for brawling on G2.iG, and they give the first blood over to Nothing to Say, that really sets yourself up for success. And I mean, have a look at what he's got in the quick buy. He's already got a Blink Dagger queued up, so it's very clear that he is like, this Phoenix isn't going to be an issue, this OD is not going to be an issue. And eventually, you've got multiple ways to be able to save on Old Warrior as well, right? Like, let's say it gets uber late. Phoenix has a ton of farm. Maybe you eventually get into an Aghanim Scepter as well, and let's say OD has an Aghanim Scepter. You've then got the ability to yoink someone inside of your Sunray. You've got the OD Astral save. You've got Hook save. You've got Dismember save. It's a lot. So I really feel like G2.iG need to get the ball rolling early on and successfully.
Yeah, I mean, the scaling's no joke on this Radiant side. And I think it was Fear that's been saying every time he's been on panel that there's no bad CK game. And I think the fact we've not really talked too much about the CK tells that story without using words. You know, he's not going to have a bad time, not going to have a good time. He's going to be there and do his job. That's what we expect from the Chaos Knight nowadays. He's going to do his job, be a tanky, annoying guy in lane that can't really be countered. And then he's going to come and hit your towers and force you to react. Which is, you know, you mentioned it at the end of the draft, right? If you allow Old Warrior to kind of set up around objectives and you walk towards them, that's a bad time for G2.iG. You're walking into Supernova Sunray, into Phantasm, into a Pudge in the trees who's setting up for hooks. You need to be the ones with that kind of deeper vision, that backline, backstab, and the items that you're talking about. As we are just waiting for a player to reconnect. I think their PC has had an issue, so they're going to restart that and get back into the game. If you're just wondering why we've been paused for a little bit, it's now the Gary and, well, what are we going to call you now? You know, me and Lacoste is Gary and Larry. Are we now Gary and Darry? Are you Danny? What are we going
Danny,
for? Danny. Danny, yeah.
Let's go with Danny. or Gazer and Dazza or something like that.
What's your real name though? You want to drop your real name as well?
I don't know. I don't want to dox myself. No, I'm Matt. But a lot of people call me by my last name. I'm Joycey most of the time. So, yeah. Although my dad's Joycey, so I don't know how I feel about
it. Joycey Jr.
Joy Jew.
Just steal your dad's little nickname.
Mm-hmm.
Early morning vibes
I did
here.
See... Exactly. Well, not too early morning for me. I did see on the player cams, though, Monet looked like he just rolled out of bed and got into his computer chair. Hair was a mess. Like, I think Arteezy's up there, and I would say Somnus is up there for players that have such a huge variance in, do they look like they haven't slept in 2 days, or do they look like they could be catalog models, you know, for how good they look. And Monet certainly was the former of those two today. Hopefully he's, you know, on board. And I mean, they're not the ones with the pause happening. I think I whipped out my phone for the old Google Translate, and Kaka's message earlier was blue letter, so I assume that's blue screen coming through.
Oh, we don't like that.
Yeah, so hopefully QIQX's PC is doing okay.
Yeah, not a hero that you want to hand over and micro in the early game, that's for damn sure.
No, definitely not.
The amount of buffs Phoenix has received recently has been pretty tremendous. Even thinking about before this patch, just having blood grenades made Phoenix such a more viable laner with damage over time and trading. And I had this discussion recently, actually, where there's so many things you have to learn in Dota, and that's fine. But the hard thing is relearning things. So when you have in your head, for the longest time, I'm talking about like 7-8 years of Dota like history ingrained into my brain, saying Rubik is the best support trader in the game. Fadebolt is an amazing skill. And then they buff Phoenix, they buff Enchantress, they buff Disruptor, they buff Crystal Maiden, and it's like, Rubik doesn't even make top 50% of lane traders anymore. Rubik doesn't even come into that conversation anymore. And it's just so crazy how he can go from being #1, undisputed forever, to now being, who are you again? You know, Phoenix on the rise, Disruptor on the rise, all these heroes getting lane buffs is great.
Exactly, and I feel like the great thing about Phoenix is that it is so versatile, right? You talk about those late game heroes that are just beasts. Phoenix is the top of the list for supports in my eyes. So anything that has like a BKB, a piercing disable is always going to be a good thing. Not such a good thing though is that we still are in this pause. So just to make sure that you guys don't miss a thing, get up, get a break, have a drink of water, because we got a lot of Dota coming our way. We're going to throw it to a quick break, and by the time we're back, hopefully this series will be up and running. So see you in a little bit.
Alright folks, we're back into it here. We've got all the players back into the lobby and ready to play some Dota 2. Game 1 here on this best of 3 between Old Warrior and G2.iG. Some old names if you're just joining us. Old 11, Kaka, and Fly here on the Old Warrior squad up against G2.iG, who are one of the firm favourites in this bracket. And we saw some drawing on the map there, Dano, getting back into the game. We have some plans here from G2.iG to do something sneaky?
Yeah, I think they're just waiting for their smoke a little bit here, trying to wait out the one that they're thinking Old Warrior might have used. They really want to make sure that they're securing that first blood, but just have a look at the discipline from both teams, right? Not wanting to get off onto these qualifiers on a bad foot. They want to make sure that they're just huddling under the safer spot, and both of them have the exact same mentality. They're not going to go the same way. They're going to go opposite directions, maybe just assuming that Nothing to Say isn't actually going to provide all that much to team fights, but he's going to walk into all of this Old Warrior lineup potentially. Just ends up placing up his Observer Ward now, and he's going to be able to walk away though. Look at how much protection that mid lane is getting as well. Observer Ward on both sides of the river, so it really just goes to show how much, not pressure, but responsibility they're giving through to Setsu.
Yeah, a lot of emphasis on that mid lane for sure. Oh, but this CK could be in trouble here. Firefly is going to get walked out by the Gyro with the body blocks. Crystal Nova to slow down the CK. I mean, Fire Spirits are annoying, but JT just going to walk him down, get in front of the CK, and gather up first blood for Baboka.
The run at you has started, Gary. It started. They're just not going to let up. And
it's just a tremendous amount of damage, isn't it? Like Gyro, Brew, Crystal Maiden. What better three heroes could you even want level 1 fight?
And he was brewed up as well on JT, so obviously with that facet that he's chosen to go for is they know QIQX has got, obviously, the Fire Spirits leveled up, and that is one of the big weaknesses of the Phoenix. You know, you mentioned great at being able to trade in lane, but such a long cooldown at level 1 on the Fire Spirits means that it is kind of like a roller coaster. Incredibly strong when you've got it up, but when you don't, you're just so vulnerable.
Yeah, kind of similar to that old, Arctic Burn, Winter Wyvern, Pos 5 support.
Yeah.
And Winter Wyvern has...
I know that very well.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you do. But, much worse time for the Winter Wyvern, for sure. Whereas Phoenix can obviously, add a level of dive, bring in that super Sunray, feel a little bit better about himself. Yeah, we'll see how that lane goes.
Get a decent amount of Wyvern, these qualifiers, Gary. Like, it comes pretty big buffs. Say that, Bobaca's the one getting run at, though.
Yeah, fair amount of damage.
Be able to get away. The laning is so much stronger on Wyvern. Like, you have a much lower cooldown now on the Arctic Burn, and just the fact that you can use the Splinter Blast onto allies means that, let's say you're laning with a Juggernaut, you can proc the Splinter Blast on that, as opposed to needing a creep wave to be able to go for those attempts.
And yeah, still super nice value pick when you're up against, like, Zoo, Lycan, or something like that. And Lycan has been pretty popular, too. Hell, we've had some Lycan Sven and Lycan Ursa games with the Wolf Bite. Super fruity stuff there. Down the bottom wave, gonna come under that dire tier 1, give it a safe farm to JT. As I say that, Fly denies a range creep right in front of his nose. I've been keeping tabs on that mid lane, where Setsu 10-1 currently against the Doom, things going as expected in this OD versus melee hero lane.
Yeah, he's doing a pretty good job, just making sure that he's spamming out the Astral Imprisonment as much as possible. Of course, it does prevent as well a little bit of that spell casting, I suppose, potential for Nothing to Say. You've got the heal, the mana allergy debuff that you're able to use onto people, so it just makes the laning phase even easier. And we're talking about a lot of these players that have something to prove. I would say Setsu is at the top of the list, right? He's a very individually skilled player, and he had that stint with LGD where he was their mid laner, but he got the big booteroni, and so he is now playing on this Old Warrior stack. But he's a player that certainly has a lot of pride and has a lot of that individual skill to be able to carry on a team on his back. And if there's any game to do it, this is the one.
Yeah, especially as an OD here, they can really pop off in this kind of match against the Brew, a Doom, and an Ursa. Yeah, lots of wiggle room there for Setsu. In top lane, the third lane, we've not really looked at too much. Ursa Maiden, potential aggression coming out of these two, but so far, 18-8 for Old 11's Pudge. Am I reading these CS values correctly? Radiant team winning across the board.
Yeah, kind of surprising, right? I mean, it is, of course, given it a bit of an advantage just based on overall right-click damage of a Pudge versus an Ursa, right? Ursa needs to kind of, like, queue it up a little bit, have that Fury swipes coming into the equation, but yeah, Old 11, oh, maybe a hook.
Yeah, they do drag the Ursa back into the rot. A good setup from Kaka, lines it up for Old 11. Non-stop pressure here onto X-Nova and Monet, and this is going to take away some of that potential from them as well, like we were mentioning in the draft. Crystal Maiden, a very good hero at rotating through Twin Gate, but it looks like G2.iG just going to be bogged down and held in the lanes for now.
Yeah, and that is not what they want. They want to be getting as active as possible, and if the lanes aren't going well, then you're not going to have the potential to be able to do that. Even just getting any sort of creep that he can on Nothing to Say. He's gone the ice armor creep, but not exactly the most effective thing to be able to have against OD with all of that pure and magic damage. Might just enable them to go for those dives, right? Potentially tank up a couple of extra tower hits when you're going for that attempt, but again, if you're just a little bit behind on experience, if you maybe don't have that that key early game item, even if it's just boots early on, you're going to have a whole lot more difficulty.
Nothing to say, just comes here, pushes his wave, gathers some runes. Went to hit jungle a little bit early on. Having some difficulties.
This is after giving up first blood, remember. So their lanes are going incredibly well. We both did like the Old Warrior draft, and what a great way to start out these qualifiers it would be if there was a massive upset.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely got it in them. It's just one of these drafts that feels like they can never let off the tempo. They've got to keep going, got to step forward. They are the ones that have to make the first move in team fights, right through that vision, maybe through setting up onto an objective. And lots of like outplay maneuvers here for G2.iG that they've got to be wary of.
Yeah, for sure. And especially, oh, hold on, TP coming in here, nothing to say.
He's dead.
Looking to get a bit of punish off, but who's the one actually getting punished here?
Down he goes. Kako with the move.
Yeah. Where's CM though? He's missing off the map, but moved down onto this bottom side with the siege creep wave as well. So this is that potential glyph wave that I was thinking about that they might be looking to go for, but it's been scouted out. TI13 with a great observer ward, just seeing exactly where X-Nova is, and they just made sure to hang back next to the tower inside the tree line and just preemptively use the fire spirits just to, you know, get that creep wave down nice and early.
It's just so incredible, right? That observer ward sees the maiden. They know it's going to telegraph the move is being made. So when they hook up top, they grab the Ursa, spike him up, rot him down. Trying to TP in here with Baboka to save him. Monet gets a bit of distance, and they'll turn onto Old 11. Kaka being chased by X-Nova now. Rocket Barrage is out, but in comes the Phoenix with damage over time onto the Crystal Maiden to finish her off. Poki's coming back off cooldown as well. They'll chase into Baboka, so the turn on turn on turn on turn. So many swings there. But Old 11 comes out with a double kill, and Ursa survives, but a victory for Old Warrior yet again.
Yet again, and well, this is it. It's the feast or famine, the Old 11 style, right? He's at the moment 36 and 6 on the last hits, topping the net worth. He's 2-0 as well. Really, really good here. And they're even going to make sure that they secure that wisdom rune for themselves. So not often you're going to get the freedom to be able to just walk on back into such a defensive position, right? You're supposed to be defending against G2.iG when they're trying to run at you, but you know, they've been able to, even with TI13, make some stacks, secure that rune, make defensive moves with Kaka. So this is a really, really solid start here for Old Warrior.
Right, and it was that whole perfect move with the Crystal Maiden kind of rotating naturally through the Twin Gate. Kaka goes mid, gets a kill on the Doom, moves back top to defend the Pudge, kick the Ursa out of lane, and then they also defended, like you mentioned with Observer Ward, the bottom lane from the Crystal Maiden. Just perfect stuff from Old Warrior. Still looking for your level 6s to get up and running, though. Like, CK would love to have his before making a move.
I'm just trying to think when G2.iG can actually do anything now, right? Because Ursa's going for a Battle Fury. That's going to take ages to have an impact. X-Nova's probably about to die here underneath the tower. Some more valuable gold. And, I mean, Phoenix is one of those heroes that really doesn't need much to be able to get so much out of it, right? So just a simple rotation from a couple of supports, netting a kill, knowing that your other cores are farming. They're just getting richer and richer across the board. But yeah, what I was just saying was you've got Ursa who's looking to farm with his Battle Fury, you've got Brewmaster who's looking to farm up his Radiance, and then you've got a Doom who's still a while until he gets that Blink Dagger. He's making a move down bot, but he's gotten scouted out by the Sentry Ward as well, so nothing that G2.iG is doing is paying off.
Nah, nothing going their way. Can't catch a break. And I think you've hit the nail on the head there, right? Is they are looking towards that later portion of the game, looking for these key items that they desperately need to make their heroes playable. And I guess a trap I very often get caught in still is thinking of Ursa as like a laning stage and early game hero. As nothing to say, he's just going to devour a creep under the CK's nose. But yeah, I think Ursa now is much more of a mid-game timing hit. You know, similar to the way that Medusa has changed from being Giga late game to being more that 25-minute hit. Ursa, I think, is in a similar boat, went from being like a 10-minute hero to being a 25-minute hero, where he needs Battle Fury, Blink, you know, Basher into Ags, whatever it might be, 3-4 items, and then he's playable.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I'm just having a bit of a look here at Kaka and TI13, just making a move on through, looking to try and punish the Ursa, who is animation bugged for me. He's got the old flail on himself just constantly.
He's very relaxed. He's leaning back. You know, he's come out of his gamer chair and he's so relaxed and soft.
Hold on.
He's so soft, in fact, he's being pummeled by a lion and a phoenix. He does have enrage here, Monet, chasing in towards Kaka. JT and the Boca.
Four-man rotation, though.
All arriving to kill the lion. I mean, they put him in his place. Kaka has been dethroned and put in his place as TI13 is getting slapped by the brew. A couple of kills to the good there for G2.iG.
All right, that's a bit of a freebie. I mean, I was really thinking they might just try and bank up a few more heroes around that top tower, because the one thing that they are relatively lacking early on is that tower push. So to be able to get a tier 1 tower pre-10 minutes, not needing the siege creep to be able to make that happen, it would have been huge for them. As, hold on, do they have any vision of Setsu moving down to this bottom side of the map? He's avoided one observer ward, but no, he very, very briefly shows there, so they should be able to react. And yeah, that's exactly what the ping is from Nothing to Say. Just saying, hey, be mindful down bot, I'm not going to help you. He has the Doom to be able to make the play, but it's so important with the Radiance being built up by JT and the Battle Fury by Monet that he just gets into this Blink Dagger. He's basically saying, look, I'm happy to be the playmaker from this mid-Doom, but I need my Blink Dagger to be able to do it. I just can't before then, so you've just got to hold out for this next little bit. So the fact that they were able to defend their tier 1 tower for as long as they did is a big plus. Unfortunately, JT wasn't able to get the deny, but it still did give them a little bit more space to be able to get into that next item.
Yeah, and although, you know, the way we're talking about it and the way the game has felt, the flow of things has been Old Warrior making the move, stepping forward and pressuring G2.iG. The net worth difference, the map state isn't that much in their favor, right? We're still looking at G2.iG hitting their item timings, not being too bothered by the way things are. So I feel like this next 10 minutes, you know, until minute 20 is where Old Warrior have to, like, really start to build that tempo, get the momentum going, kill after kill, tower after tower, and stop G2.iG from hitting Radiance, from hitting Blink. Because right now, it's just this gentleman's agreement to, you know, farm until the cows come home. But I don't think that favors the Radiant.
No, and I think they're just about to be able to make that move right now, because you've got your level 6, you've got your Supernova, and your Finger of Death available. You just finished up a 4-staff. CK, not quite there with the armlet, but I think they're just trying to make a little bit of space for Old 11 to be able to get into the Ags. Never mind, he actually just wants to come mid to try and make this fight happen. Misses with the hook, though.
And now, the turnaround. We've seen plenty of these. The Doom is down, the dive will come back, and the Phoenix is dragged back in towards them. No way out of this. Buys a bit of time with the Astral, but dead regardless. Okay, no more denying the Doom.
Yeah. So that's a move that, you know, again, for that time, Old 11 wasn't farming. Not able to push a tower. You don't make... at least they didn't use the smoke with Kaka. He's still got that available. And they're looking to potentially get a bit of a gank going onto Monet here. Kaka... I'm sure that was the comms at the moment down on the bottom side as well. He was looking to potentially replace the ward that TI13 had there that scouted out that previous movement, but just said, hey, did this expire or did it get dewarded? So very good comms coming through from Old Warrior there, because that sentry would have instantly wiped it out and removed a lot of that vision.
And good read from Monet as well. Just sniffs it out, realizes they're coming. Doesn't even stop to grab a Lotus. Goes all the way back to stack his Ancients, so he can now kind of come to lane, push it out, be helped by JT and X-Nova, who have also come through that twin gate to play aggressively onto Fly. This Chaos Knight has backup arriving. Primal split. The Void pushes him back in towards the core down. A lot of damage there. Will dispatch with the Chaos Knight quickly. And now onto the OD as well. A Frostbite follows through with Monet's move. Sunray is coming in to try and heal them up. The Supernova down as well. The Freezing Field, though, they try and take down Setsu. They succeed as Monet trades his life for the OD.
Old 11's looking for a hook on the back line.
He's wrapping around.
Not the creep wave.
Caught a creep. Went fishing. Found a boot. I mean, in the end, that's 2 cores for the price of 1, and your Doom is still farming. G2.iG, a little, you know, victory after victory the past couple of minutes.
Yeah, for sure. They really just haven't been able to make the most out of it, as Fly is actually moving here up against Nothing to Say. I'm not sure if this is the place you want to be. You're 3 levels behind the Doom at the moment. He's just able to, again, use the better of the facets, the Gluttony, to be able to use the second charge and secure a little bit more of that farm for himself. He's starting to scale a little bit now, and I'm a little bit worried about how behind Fly is getting.
Yeah, 5,500 net worth. This CK, maybe I cursed him this time saying that, you know, Chaos Knights don't really have bad games or good games, they just do their job. He hasn't really had any impact yet, transferring his current net worth into impact, something that the Chaos Knight desperately needs to do. Yeah, it feels like the game is starting to slip away from the Radiant a bit. You know, this kind of stoic stance from IG, getting their items. Brew has Radiance, Blink is up on Doom. Now it's time to smoke and make plays. Really could upset Old Warrior.
They don't have ultis, right? So I'm not sure if they're actually going to be able to secure too many kills. Like, maybe you get Bobica, but as long as Monet gets away, I think you're very happy with this. They're fighting next to a tower as well, though, so the TP rotations come.
Enrage.
Gets the Enrage off.
Gets out of Banish. Hook into the damage. They'll get Monet. Battle Fury complete, though. Job well done.
Job well done. He did it. He farmed the right creep wave. At least with this, though, Old 11's been able to pick up the Aghanim Scepter for himself. He's nearly got the Voodoo Mask available as well, so it's a lot of AoE damage that they're going to have to deal with, and I really feel like this is the time for them to be making the move, right? Although, up top, Fly has been scouted out. They should be able to see that that Lotus Pool is being yoinked away a little bit. This is probably going to be another dead CK.
Oh, he's going to stop the freezing field. Turn onto X-Nova, get the kill. Old 11 now coming in with a good Cyclone there. Sends him skyward. There's QIQX and Setsu have both arrived on the team.
AoE damage.
Dive away with a Supernova, backing him up. JT, another Cyclone, but they're going to jump onto the Earth Panda and take him down.
All right. That AoE damage, they're really not anticipating it coming through there, right? The Aghanim Scepter coming through from the Pudge, just ripping through all of those Brewlings, so gonna have him in two minds, maybe not wanting to join into it at least until he's level 12 on the Brew. He's at least got the Radiance, so he's gonna have that one ticking down, but I'll be honest, this game has been a little messy, hasn't it, Gary? Like, not exactly the smoothest moves coming through from either team. Probably the laning stage going a little bit more disadvantageous for the favorites in G2.iG than what they were expecting. And not too many, like, clean towers being taken either. Like, it's fine to be able to get that bit of a turnaround there up on the top side, but nothing actually eventuating from it. Oh, big hook, but not quite able to land there.
He tries it. He tries it. Yeah, I think it's... I don't know how to put this into words. I think it's like a symptom, I guess, of the G2.iG draft, though, where things aren't clean in the first 20 minutes. Like, again, they're just waiting for their time to shine, and Fly is going to walk right into the Doom and the Gyro. Across the Phoenix and the rest of Old Warrior coming in to slay Baboka. Nothing to say. There's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. A double kill for Setsu coming out of the woodwork. Suddenly there's 5 heroes appearing out of the fog.
Fly ends up getting killed by the Doom once more, but again, I think you're very happy to be able to take that 2-for-1 trade, especially if it's all going through to Setsu, right? We mentioned that he needs to be the one getting onto the backlines. He needs to be the one starting off, and they're actually going to be the ones hitting the first. Roshan as well. OD, one of those heroes that really does rip through Roche very, very quickly, especially if you've got these abilities to be able to slow down a lot of the outgoing damage, like the Fire Spirits, of course. Taking that away from an Ursa is huge.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, this was meant to be Ursa, Battle Fury, Blink, and then try go Roche after a team fight. Take that out of his pocket. He's a sad little bear. Yeah, this is a G2.iG draft that still needs another 10 minutes or so to really feel like they're doing stuff, right? Because we kind of avoided the word greed in this draft, but they are kind of greedy.
Yep. And, I mean, the greed from Old Warrior is now paying off. You've got a Blink Dagger on Karka, and we know that he can get so much work done on this Lion with something as simple as that. So he's going to have that. He's working his way into a 4-staff. Really looking to see them get active once again. Probably in about a minute's time, right? This is going to be the ebb and flow coming through. CK nearly finished up the Orchid as well, so they want to make sure that they're catching out the Ursa, the Doom, the Brewmaster. All 3 cores are just such key targets to be able to use any sort of these key value items on your cores. So it really doesn't matter who they run into. And like we've been speaking about Karka a little bit, he's set up some great vision up top, so they know exactly where JT is farming here.
And we also see that Crystal Maiden and the Ursa coming down bottom. X-Nova and Monet are not getting run at. Old 11 and Karka backing up into their own jungle, it looks like. Just hold off for now, as they're also under dire vision, which is going to pretty quickly get removed down here by the Lion. Yeah, Karka sees it. Yeah, a little bit of breathing room for the
Like,
Chaos Knight here to get into his Orchid, but now that's done, I do want to see Fly get involved.
yeah. I don't think there was much point with the finger still on cooldown, but it's just come off, and that's going to be the time where he slowly starts to make his way towards that mid lane. Still farming up at this point in time. You need his damage, though, to be able to hit into these towers, right? You're not going to do too much as an OD. It's not the days of, you know, the Meteor Hammer style, and they know if CK's not connecting through to this, he's farming. So this is actually a really good rotation coming through. There's the blink. There's another dude onto Fly.
Down you go. And forcing reactions here as well. They will not catch up to Nothing to Say, who TP's out in the fog.
Didn't yours him up. So get away with murder there. And yep, there we go. That's a bit better use of the chat line coming through from Nothing to Say. Previously he used it when he just died solo to Setsu, but a very, very impactful move. Reading exactly what Old Warrior were going for there, and it, you know, punishing the fact that CK just wasn't connecting through to the rest of the team. If you're going an Orchid, that's not really helping you farm all that much. That is a fighting item, and they had all the tools to be able to fight. All ultimates available, Finger of Death up, even the Aegis on Setsu. So they still are able to get the tower, but they give something up for it, and that also means that this net worth is going to start to increase a little bit more for G2.iG as well.
That's the thing, right? It's like, it's one kill, and yes, it's on your carry, it feels bad, but all these knock-on effect things you're talking about really hurt them. Because it's delaying the Aegis timer.
Oh, nay. Hold on. They're waiting for the Wisdom Rune here, but Setsu, he has the Blink Dagger, and look, they're going to back off in time. They know that they were missing around that sort of area, so really nice use of the scan there.
The Soul Read, yeah. The Soul Read into scan. It looked like Monet had a pretty good idea of what was coming before it even got scanned, and then runs away. But yeah, like knock-on effect of this Aegis timer. Yes, you get a tier 1, but you would love to really press the map, get across the river, and set yourselves up for tier 2 pushes with it. Now it's only a minute and a half remaining on Aegis, which feels a little sad because of that CK death. CK is, you know, still catching up because of the death as well. 10k net worth, trying to get his foothold on the map here by pressuring the tier 1 bottom. And it's more space and time for G2.iG. You know, Ursa's farming, the Brewmaster's farming, everyone's having a pretty grand old time in that top left corner. A lot of room for them to play with there.
I like the way that they're playing this as well. So he's got the Aghanim Scepter on JT.
Yeah, look at it.
He's going to be able to just constantly throw people up in the air. But it's also, yeah, like we see there, cutting waves. They're going to look to try and kill it, but not going to be all that beneficial. And it actually even scouted out the fact... Yeah, it scouted out the fact that the Wisdom Rune hadn't been claimed as well. So Bobika was able to just walk up there, get a little bit of bonus XP, considering that they had lost their own one. So nice little move, and especially for a support Jaro with that facet as well. Level 2 cooldown's huge.
Oh, and then he goes into the Earth mode to get the demolish damage onto the tower. Oh, the hook back. Old Levens grabbed Baboka here, under the Sunray being burnt to a crisp. The Gyrocopter going to get dismembered and taken down by Fly. Tier 1 tower did fall in the end, though.
Yeah, that's the bigger deal, right? It just means that when you are ready to go, you've got a lot more avenues to be able to make these smokes happen. Obviously, mid-tower's kind of low, right? I wouldn't be surprised if JT just sent his Earth Panda towards that mid lane and backdoored it. There really isn't anything stopping them from... Hold on. Maybe he would rather get a kill onto the Phoenix, and he's just able to get away.
They're being very annoying with that. And I guess, yeah, in the meantime, while that was happening top, of course, we saw the Doom onto the Lion.
Oh,
Nothing to say getting away. As TI13 is taken down by the Storm Panda. Cheeky little fella.
He was inside of his invis, the Windwalk, and then he just is able to recall another Brewling instead. It is going to be the Fire Panda, so again, cutting waves, being annoying. They see it though on Kaka, but I'm not sure if you want to like reveal the fact that you've got this setup. He's playing very, very well this game. He's another one of those heroes, right? You talk about Old 11 and the Feast or Famine. JT is kind of the modern Old 11.
Is it Naruto? What's that? The anime run?
Yeah, the Naruto run. Yeah.
What is this? This Fire Panda. Look at him. He's on his way to Area 51. He's coming for you, boys.
They can't stop all of us.
Oh, the alien has arrived. Alien spaceship at World Devourer. Not going to get the kill, though. 19 health remains when he dissipates. What a funny little thing.
Summon another one. He summons the Earth one. And
Earth one's killed.
Again, I just want to see him send it mid, right? It's not going to take too many hits for that tier 1 tower to be able to destroy it, and it's going to give them so much extra, you know, much quicker map movements when they eventually do want to go for a few of these smokes.
Well, at least they'll get a snipe onto the Gyrocopter here. a courier kill for good measure as well.
1, 2. Easy tower.
Tower down. And you're right, just send it down mid. Now, Old Warrior a little bit spread across the map right now. CK, OD, Lion down south. Pudge, Phoenix up top. And G2.iG, they could make a move up here and maybe try and find a fight. But it looks like they are still very content just to sit back and wait for minute 30 to really play their heroes. Like they want Bash on Ursa.
Yeah. They want that power spike, but I mean, they probably want to wait around the time that a kill is going to result in something, right? All tier 1 towers are gone. And now if you just wait maybe 2 minutes, you're going to have the potential to have a fight which you win because you've been able to sit back and farm all this time and then get an Aegis on an Ursa, which really feels like what they're going for.
Yeah, nighttime, Dire, Roche. Find a fight, go to Roche, and get it for your Ursa.
Ooh. I think they might have smoked underneath an Observer Ward though, so a little surprised that they're not backing off too much. Maybe just wanting to stick the Phoenix on the front lines, but you've got both supports.
Didn't even get a chance to react. Fairy Fire, Ewel's dive, unused.
He's got that missile coming for him though.
On poor Kaka.
Be careful about bringing it too close to the Roche pit as well, because that's exactly where G2.iG want to be. It does end up actually spawning in the next 15 seconds, but we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, I'm a little surprised that they didn't back off, or at least only have one of their heroes die, right? Phoenix death wouldn't have been the worst, but Lion very close to being able to pick up that 4-star, so that's going to set him back a little bit. Doesn't have the Philosopher's Stone to be able to play around with.
Yeah, maybe we just didn't see it. There's a minute to go for Roshan. X-Nova's Crystal Maiden going to head down through the Twin Gate into bottom. What are we doing down there, X-Nova? We've run out of Observer Wards, haven't we? We are an Observer Ward now?
Yeah, sure. I mean, he's got the Gossamer Cape. He's like, oh, I'm going to be able to live. Not too sure about that. I mean, if he's able to pick up a little bit of extra farm for himself in the process, that's going to be quite nice. But it really does feel like they are setting up for that Roche, right? That is the big objective that they're going for here. So, for Old Warrior's sake, there's a big plus. Oh, they're not going to smoke run underneath this Observer Ward as well, are they? Yes, they are, and it instantly gets pinged out. So, this is twice now that a bit of a mistake has happened around these smoke timings. They're going to go for one of their own. It looks like they're all clumping up together. They know that they're fighting for this Roche. This is going to be so key to the tempo that this game has. Right,
this is the most important portion of the game right now, the most important moment of the game, potentially. But this is where the Radiant have been getting ready to get to that. A real big, strong power spike where they 5-man fight, they get the next Roshan, and they look to dominate the map. Whereas G2.iG have been waiting, slowly deliberating how they enter this fight with their itemization, the mild net worth lead they have, but this ability to outplay in team fights is pretty massive for G2.iG. And we're going to look for that Brewmaster against CK, look for that Ursa to take out the Phoenix Supernova through the overpower, try and find where X-Nova's lurking in the shadows to get a good freezing field down.
They toss the OD up. They want to go.
I'm trying to move forward. I stun up that Storm Panda, Fly dealing with it. The first move not really made just yet, so it's scouting of the Panda, then moving with a bit of vision from X-Nova. They see the Phoenix yet again as JT just sprints forward. Brewmaster wants to get involved in the thick of things, dismembered up, but in comes Monet. Supernova's drop, but this Primal Split causing problems for the Pudge. They've taken him down. Old 11 killed off and buys back as Fly and Kaka still lurking in the shadows here, trying to re-enter. They miss out the stuns. The Doom does get disabled at the end of his BKB, but QIQX dying to this Primal Split of JT. Oh my god, they just get straight in on top of the CK. Monet nothing to say. Dispatch with him quickly. Kaka's in trouble. It's all in disarray now. The Doom will get hooked back by the Pudge. They've got a lot of damage, but nothing to say. Tanking through it all. The Doom is there on the Pudge. She was to slow him down. JT picks up a double kill. The supports are gone as Setsu finally gets a kill here, but G2.iG have destroyed them, dismantled them. A triple kill for JT, a 6-for-1 trade. Old Warrior retiring.
Yeah, it's Geriatric Warrior after that one, and I mean, they were able to get on through. Such a big boon to their net worth lead as well, on top of everything. I really feel like the positioning of Setsu was actually quite good. You know, he made sure to avoid that initial go in by nothing to say. He tried to get the Blink Doom off onto the OD to start off the fight, but you were just bleeding way too many heroes at the start of these fights. I mean, you just see it, a little bit of the the split coming through here, right? CK hasn't had the greatest game. He doesn't necessarily have a ton of net worth to be able to play around, and his survivability as well isn't that amazing. So I'm a little surprised that he wanted to commit that deep on into the team fight. Remember, this is something that we were talking about for both teams, right? They need to be able to start the fight effectively, and if you don't get that, especially on Old Warrior, it feels very awkward to just walk up into this area that they didn't have control over.
Yeah, it felt kind of odd the way they ran away from that, because they had the high ground twin gate to hold potentially, but I guess the fact that it's just Brew that's showing, and you don't want to spend all of your stuns on Brew, who could maybe tank through it all, then get promo split off. I think JT did a very good job at force, like it's just like forced errors, right? You're forcing them to use stuns on you. You've got this Storm Panda cycloning one up in the back end. You've got Defiant Shell, all these things to kind of punch back and be very irritating. And then you talk about the patience of the rest of G2.iG, right? Monet doesn't show, Nothing to Say doesn't show until they know that they can get a kill.
JT is having a beast of a game. 7-1-5. He's level 20 now as well, so the Brewlings have a lot of extra health. You know, you're just, again, playing around that Drunken Brawler, Drunken Master facet for himself, and he's even finished up in AC, so it's just so much more of that tower taking potential. You're so much safer as well, not just for yourself, but for the rest of the team against the likes of the CK, if he is actually able to find that initial burst. I think big credit, again, needs to be given to the supports, though. Like that Observer Ward that was down in the lane that caught out the smoke enabled G2.iG to, you know, react then. They probably would have wanted to wait just that little bit more, and maybe they would have been caught out. You know, maybe they would have started Roshan. Maybe Old Warrior would have actually had control over the Roche pit instead. But information wins games, Gary. I'm a support main, and this is always just going to be the same thing in my books. It's like playing with map hack, basically, if you've got the ability to just know exactly what the enemy team is doing at all times. And, well, they were able to get the kill onto Baboka, but they know that Setsu is still sticking up here on the top side. That's why they're all grouping up down bottom and looking to make a play with this Aegis to try and take away a little bit more of that map. I mean, you've got the Demolish on the Earth Panda, you've got an Ursa, you've even got a Siege Creep as well connecting through.
200 bonus building damage, pretty nutty stuff there. But yeah, it's your time to be bold and confident now with G2.iG with that Aegis and Cheese. Press forward, get some tier 2s, and look around the map, see what you can claim.
Another deep ward placed down as well by X-Nova, just looking to scout out if they were looking to try and do a similar sort of thing. They know that they've got quick ways to be able to get across the map. Even, I mean, we've been talking about JT a lot. He's got the boots of travel, so he is moving like an absolute race car across the map. You know, there's only so many places they can be, right?
Being eyed up by this Storm Panda. There's no one else coming as Kasha's going to die to Monet, eaten up by the Ursa. Oh, and a TP out from the OD, no bashes.
Yeah. But it's just like what we were saying, right? Information wins games. They had a ward placed down bottom. They have a ward still up around the Roche Pit area. They're using JT's Brewling to be able to scout out that sort of area, and now X-Nova's even got some high ground vision. So the question that I want for Old Warrior to answer is, like, where can we actually move on the map right now where our moves just aren't going to get telegraphed, right? Because G2.iG, this is the timing that they've been waiting for. They've nearly even got an Abyssal Blade on Monet as well, and they're losing tier 2 towers at a rapid rate.
But even just thinking about like how far warding has come as a general concept, it always used to just be, you know, place a ward on a high ground, hope it sees something. But now, like you're talking about, right? You've got these like battle wards you're placing in the middle of a battle just to give that little glimpse of vision. These lane wars to see what's happening. The deep wards to get in behind people.
Kaka!
Oh, I thought it was
like
fine. I thought it was...
No. Could have maybe Ogre Seal totemed away, could have maybe Healing Lotus, but wasn't expecting the damage to come that quickly, I suppose, against an Ursa. Well, that's what happens, and now, again, they're going to be fighting one man down, and
maybe
potentially
more.
even losing Phoenix.
Oh, hook back, saves him. Oh, it's scary stuff, though. In that situation, should the Ursa get the kill? Should he be...
Yeah.
People doing the damage should get the actual claim on it.
I mean, if he knew what he was doing, yes, but I don't think he knew. I think that was just a little bit of good luck coming through. Hold on.
Hold 11. Thinking about the hook. Really ballsy stuff for the Pudge just to sit out there and see what comes his way. But I guess with everyone respawn now for Old Warrior, It's going to be respect from G2.iG. Aegis reclaimed and play under their high ground vision. But yeah, so this kind of thing, right? In the old days, you wouldn't really do this. Defending your vision is such an important part of Dota now. You know, thanks to I think Team Spirit, really one of the big pioneers, you know, with their first TI win. Just place high ground vision, no matter where it is. Enemy side of the map, who cares? Play under it. You wait to see who comes, because you are guaranteed the first jump. You get to pick your target.
Yeah, dude, they smoked again under a ward, and that's why G2.iG are just gathering around all the tops of these staircases, right? They just want to wait it out, because what's the downside? You've got an 18k net worth lead, the hook, it's
That's an illusion.
There, it's onto an illusion. Just really good wards once again placed there. Was that another X-Nova ward? That's why he's my favorite. So, well, him and Maposhka are up there, you know, top 2 in the world, in my opinion.
And they're cutting and shoving waves bottom as well. Yeah, that question you asked, Old Warrior, where do you play? Where do you go on the map? I mean, right now you try and cut mid, but your high ground is, you know, being threatened potentially here.
And this is the other issue that we were highlighting during the draft as well. They are incredibly single target on Old Warrior. So you talk about the ability to, like, even just deal with the split push. It's so hard to be able to do it, right? Because how are you supposed to do it? Like, Lion doesn't push waves, Phoenix doesn't really push waves, and he's so important to your team fight that you can't give him up. They're playing underneath vision right now and trying to get a lucky hook, but not gonna land.
And JT's just had BKB delivered as well, so now he is an unkillable threat in the fights. Like, JT just has free reign. He can do whatever the hell he wants to.
Yep.
Nothing's gonna be touching him.
So the crazy thing in my eyes is that even with this 19k net worth lead, I still think there's potential for Old Warrior to come back with this.
Yeah.
Like, they got level 20 on Old 11, they got level 20 on the OD. You've got a nice little synergy with the mana differential from the Sanity's Eclipse and the fact that you've got a Lion with Aghanim Shard as well, so a little bit more mana drained as well. But again, it just feels like G2.iG are just going to grow this net worth lead more and more. They're going to keep it pushing out. They might even look to just play around the next Aegis. Why not? You know, there's no real downside. It's probably going to spawn on the top side of the map unless it is literally the longest possible Roche spawn. And by that time, Doom's going to be level 20.
Yeah, I mean, this feels like one of those situations where, I don't know if you used to play StarCraft, but this is one of those things where someone's done the Protoss cannon rush and they've pissed you off and they've killed all your workers, but you're like a boom player, you know. You're waiting for that late game. You're building 4 bases. You got your freaking 4 TC and Age of Empires terms going on. G2.iG are just going to soak the map right there. You're going to get all the resources. Your little cheesy strat hasn't worked out. I get what you're saying. I kind of struggle to see a team fight environment in which. Okay, Old 11's out there. I struggle to see a team
really quick Roche spawn as well, by the way.
Immediately. I mean, Kaka's going to TP out there as well. What was it? 3 minutes till day? So it's, yeah, nighttime Roche, top left corner. As long as G2.iG fulfill their main goals in a team fight, which is to doom OD or Pudge, and, you know, dispel CK illusions, Cyclone a hero. Literally, if G2.iG cast their spells, I think Old Warrior lose a team fight by default. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and I mean, they're not actually scouting out the Roche pit yet, which I'm a little surprised about. This is the time where they actually have control over the area. So vision placed down. What's the buyback status? That's what I really want to know, because that's going to give an advantage to G2.iG, right? And right now, Ursa's got it. That's the important one that you're wanting here. If he is looking to indeed commit, but you just see how fast they're able to take that Roche shard.
Aegis and cheese.
Getting punished a little bit there. So what G2.iG were delaying the game for isn't actually going to be beneficial. All the while, yeah, the observers picked up on it. JT is just using this Demolish Panda to come down here, and Setsu's had to respond to it, so maybe they're going to be able to get them on the retreat.
And the chase is on. Look at them go. Baboka charging forward. His smoke breaks. He knows someone is right in front of him. They can't quite get there, though. Nothing to say, and JT just a little too distant to make the move. A good sneaky play by Old Warrior. Grab the Aegis, take it away from the Ursa, like you're saying. Give cheese to Setsu, Aegis for CK, so now they've got that bit of extra gas in the tank to maybe outlast the initial primal split, the initial burst from Ursa. Outlast the Doom. You've got multiple lives now, but you've got to take the future into your own hands, right? This is a situation where you are down 14k, you are being pressed back into your base. You cannot sit and wait because, like you've been pointing out, like the observer's been scouting and seeing, you just cannot wait for your base to be pushed. Because you'll be pushed by 5 heroes in one lane and then a freaking panda in the other just destroying your buildings. You've got to get out on the map and do something. Tier 2s are easy money, but you want kills on cores right now.
They have to commit to something, right? I think that's the big thing. And at least they've been able to push out that mid tower. The big thing for mine is that that was the 3rd Roshan. That had Aghanim's Blessing on it. So Setsu's been able to claim that one for himself. It was previously a 19, 20k net worth lead. That's why it swung so much more in favor now of Old Warrior. And this is the thing. Now you can't actually find that initial burst onto Setsu. You actually don't want to focus him down, but you want to take him out of the fight. So something needs to pop his Lincolns, and then you need to toss him up in the air on JT. Does he have a BKB? He doesn't. I kind of want to see him go into that, just because of what I'm talking about, right? Like, I don't think you want to use the Doom necessarily onto Setsu. I would be much happier if they were able to get that onto Phoenix, for example. You know, you take away the Yule Scepter, so Ursa has a lot more ways to be able to play around the Enrage. You've got no Sunray, no Blind, no Supernova to have to worry about. Like, that's the sort of target that they need to be initiating onto now. Nothing to say. Speaking of BKBs,
Off he goes.
Back to his team.
It's like getting yourself into a spot on the map where you can actually find a team fight is a big challenge.
Still, though, pushing 2 lanes is a huge win if you're Old Warrior, right? They've been able to manage this to be able to push out mid, push out bot. Sure, you're taking a little bit of that chip damage on top, but I'd say that's a big win. This is the first time they've been able to do it all game.
It's not just chip damage, though, hey?
Not anymore.
It's nearly just a tier 3 gone.
Oh, maybe a hook, though. Look at Old 11. He's setting up for it.
Oh, he's trying. CK's into the backlines as well. The hook to drag his teammate away from danger and save him. Pretty wild initiation there as Old 11 looked from one angle.
Unless they just want this Aegis to pop. Yeah, they're going to delay it out a little bit. He should live. Still, though, yeah, nearly losing that tier 3 tower. And you know that JT is going to be licking his lips for this. He's just going to be like, ooh, I see a tier 3 that's just about to go down.
One hit, that's all I need.
Baboka, I think, trying to soften up this wave a little bit as well. Might just send the homing missile out. He's going to call down the wave just to, you know, get it passively pushing in. They haven't really been able to make the most out of this Aegis, although you do have a heart now for Fly, so a lot harder to be able to take him down. That percent damage coming through from Nothing to Say is going to be much more important. And look, they're picking out Baboka, just saying this goddamn annoying gyrocopter with a Midas, by the way, and a nullifier that he's going for. And stealing away the Wisdom Rune, and TPing away.
What a guy.
Annoying player.
What a guy. There you can see the kind of almost desperation of Old Warrior to go and play into enemy Ancients, right? Like, that is the place as a Radiant team who wants to use the Aegis and press high ground. They want to be on that plateau. They want to use the high ground, the staircases there to try and bait a fight into advantageous terrain. It's just, yeah, kind of impossible to, you know, go and push 2 waves when you've got this G2.iG team that were ready to 5-man shove down 1 lane and force your hand to come back and defend. As Kaka's going to get hooked away from Monet.
I don't know about
thinking about the entry to the
20
fight.
seconds on the Aegis.
Yeah.
The last thing that you want is your Aegis carrier to be the one that TP's back to try and, like, take care of a support that's pushing you out, and you still lose the Wisdom Rune, and you still lose the creep wave, and you just don't get anything out of it. So this is a huge loss, you know, for Old Warrior. This should have been their chance to potentially get back into the game, but instead they just haven't been able to claim anything. And just look at what's happened in the meantime. Your gyrocopter nearly level 25, so he's going to have, what, a 30-second cooldown, and now he's got a nullifier as well. So good ways to be able to deal with the Yule Scepter, the 4-stars, the Glimmer Capes, everything that they've got to be able to protect themselves. Even Ghost Scepter has been picked up by the Pudge.
I mean, you've got Refresher Doom and Abyssal Blade Brew. Oh, did they see? They saw the real Fly in the back.
Are they wanting to commit to this? I don't think they are.
Yeah. You can't get past the Phantasm to find him. And Old Warrior are the ones holding the high ground now, but this is a position that G2.iG can exploit. The Radiant are picking it out, saying, hey, this high grounds area is somewhere that we need to control. Right now, G2.iG can push mid and bottom back into this kind of undefended tier 3 up at top.
I've been singing JT's praises all game, and I'm going to continue to do it because he is level 25, and he's got the Cinder Brew applying fear when it's ignited. You're always going to be able to ignite that Cinder Brew. You've got a Radiance available for yourself, so that's going to proc it. Nobody on Old Warrior has a BKB, so everyone that gets hit by this is going to be impacted. And also on top of that, like CK illusions, no way for them to even eventually get into the BKB themselves, right? So it just feels like he's going to have even more impact in these team fights, create so much more havoc to enable, you know, this AoE damage coming through from the Doom. Even Freezing Field is going to be huge.
Oh, Gaga. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Wait, he's got OD near him. Do they turn? Do they turn this? He's just going to blink away? Okay. The old man still got the reactions. The Storm Panda sees everything, though.
They need QIQX playing with them with the gems so that they're actually able to focus this Storm Panda down. But, I mean, even if they go on him, he'll just summon something else. Like, look at top. It's pushing in once again.
Drag you one way, push you back the other way. It's a real workout for some players in their twilight age. Thinking you get past your 30s, you're being given a workout by these young players. Really making you.
The creeps are going to get it. And they know with no one defending it, that means that they're probably going for a move. What do? They all clump up, they play around the top of the stairs. This is just really composed Dota being played by G2.iG. They got a bit of a scare in the laning phase, that's for sure, but ever since then, they've just been so ready for everything coming their way.
Still pretty defiant, though, Old Warrior, holding on to this game and making a move aggressively onto Monet. And Rage and Lincoln Sphere going to offer the Ursa the protection he needed. And G2.iG going to fall back, it looks like, not wanting to stick around. Next, Roshan. What's the timer like? Oh, that's a long one.
It's a long one, and I mean, again, I feel like that's what Old Warrior need to be able to take a proper fight, because if you don't, this is just going to continue to happen. You're going to fall further and further behind. Hold on, though.
This is big.
Up. It's a good ward placed down by X-Nova, though.
He's not going to see them until the smoke breaks now. Now he spots the CK and OD. The Ursa jumped in the back line. They called out the OD. Setsu's in serious trouble, but now he's tanking up with the barrier on him. Still swiped down by Monet. Supernova is going to try and hold him back here as Old Levin just runs towards JT, but a Doom comes out from nothing to say to claim another life yet again. G2.iG with the better reactions, the better execution to kill off the CK in the back lines now. A little sad for them that Roshan's not alive. But Old Warrior, man, they tried with that sneaky wraparound, but just fighting into G2.iG with all the answers they have is so difficult.
Yeah, they've got all the answers, like you said. You've even got double siege creep wave down bottom as well, causing them issues, and 2 buybacks not available on 2 cores is... It might be that final nail in the coffin for them. X-Nova, once again, his vision game is unparalleled. He's just able to put that one down, realize that, hey, they're coming to make this sort of play. Glimmer capes himself up, moves over to the left, and that's just what they needed to be able to start that fight off. So this has just been a really solid team performance when it comes down to, controlling waves, understanding where the enemy team is looking to play. Basically, it's one of the easiest games that you could play if you're Monet, for example, right? He has just been set up entirely by his team.
Alright, farm to your items. It feels like that for all their cores, honestly, though. It's just bide your time, farm to your items, and don't worry about a death here or there. Once we get to the late game, we're going to be the ones that control the map, and we've got, again, the answers in the team fight. As long as G2.iG sees, 1 or 2 heroes at the beginning of the fight, they kind of, from process of elimination, or by extension, know where the other heroes are, and that just allows Monet to jump, that's the back line, I'm going to go past the back line. I'm going to go behind the OD, try and get in towards this Phoenix, then turn on the OD when the Doom joins in. A great communication, great execution from G2.iG here in these fights. And I get it. I can see ways for Old Warrior to begin a fight, but it all needs to go so perfectly for them, right? They've got to catch the right hero, blow them up immediately with Phantasm already going. A big hit from the OD. I can try and blink away from the Ursa. OD just being absolutely annihilated on the left side of the fight, while on the right-hand side of the fight, nothing to say. He's rifted back into the CK here as the Pudge moves forward with a freezing field, and the damage overwhelming them means it's lights out. And G2.iG going to take the game victory here in game number 1. Oh, 11 with his Pudge is out of here.
That is just really, really solid, right? Overall team performance, 42k net worth lead at the end of the day. Not exactly the most back and forth brawling style. He's got the Night Rain, of course, so it's going to be a little easier for him, but just to not have mana to be able to constantly be using the Void feels really bad.
Well, off we go. Game 2. G2.iG took about 50 minutes to take down Old Warrior in game 1. We'll see here with a Chen and a bit of snowballing if they can get that a little bit faster. There's yeah, Chen's little Satyr creep already out in the lane in the mid. Baboka Hoodwink, JT Centaur, NTS on the Zeus. There's an awful lot of burst damage here from G2.iG once we get into that mid game in particular. A Vision from the Zeus, the Centaur stomp into Thunder God's Wrath, and a Sharpshooter could pretty much blow up anybody of Old Warrior's lineup who are reasonably squishy.
Now this once again feels like a little bit of bait, right? Monet is just kind of sticking his nose out there. Surely they should know what's going on, and that wasn't a ping coming from Old Warrior, so maybe they're just trying to go for one of the lines that they drew on the map previously in game number 1, that sort of rotation. They know it's safe to go up onto the high ground, and TI13 needs to be very careful on this CM. They see him.
Oh, howdy.
He does not.
Walks back up the staircase, sees 3 heroes there. TI13 trying to edge towards the bounty rune, but dead. Has nothing to say. Your mid lane Zeus gets first blood. 2 for 2 in the bounty exchange, but advantage to G2.iG.
Yeah, it was 3 for 1 last game, and an early kill as well, but still, this is just going to give so much of advantage. Actually does send him in. Okay, he's mana burning the Slaughter.
Fly. He's used Shikuchi. He has 2 stick charge. He's going to be alive here, but it is not going to be a comfortable laning stage whatsoever. So that started off with
creeps.
Baboka with the body blocks on that bottom wave, stopping them in their tracks, forcing some reactions out of them. And that Flood Weaver just like... the moment he started doing it, I was like, I'm gonna channel my inner Lacoste here. I'm gonna bring it out.
Very nice though to be able to punish him this early on into the lane, right? I've been talking about Weaver, why it's such a busted hero. It's because of those early timings. So anything that you can do to make him relatively weaker is obviously going to be such a big benefit. So won't be able to play around that level 2 quite as much. Probably going to be forced on QIQX to go into Arcane Aura level 2 just because he doesn't have any of those mangoes, unless he's got them coming out to him now on the courier. Not just more tangos, so obviously feeling like the lane's going quite rough for them. And this is what I was talking about as well, like dual purpose Satyr Mindstealer in this mid lane, right? Yoinking away all of that mana that Setsu has to be able to play with and giving mana regen to nothing to say.
Him? Is he dead?
Maybe.
No.
He's not farming, that's all for sure.
There's a fairy fire there to be used if needed. I think nothing to say could have gone for that, but then you always run the risk of the TP reaction, etc. But my goodness, yeah, great time for that Zeus already in the mid lane at 11 and 5 over the 7-1 of the Slardar. And down at bottom, JT has been taking a bit of a beating from the Weaver, while up at top, X-Nova trying to recapture his small camp, but Kaka has planted himself in there to block it up.
Sure, he's thinking, what did I do to deserve this as well on the mid lane, right? Like, this is... I love the fact that you can respond with Chen like this. I don't think Chen necessarily needed a buff, but this is at least an entertaining buff that's coming through. It's not just being busted around like your divine favor. It requires a little bit of that micro across the map, just not for your lane.
Yeah. Fly looks like he's recovered decently in that bottom lane. Getting a good amount of damage on the Centaur, and even in last hits with him as well. Yeah, so every time we look mid, it's not just this Satyr, I guess it plays a part in it, but the fact nothing to say naturally shoves out the wave. The Slardar doesn't get to play in the river.
Nope. Which feels horrible. Like that's why you picked this hero, that's why it's viable as a mid. Even just from right clicks as well, that's proccing the live wire, the static field, and I mean, I'm sure nothing to say just said, hey, lane's won. You don't need to have this guy here anymore. Like, I'm able to just dominate the lane. I've already got a, how much is it, 700 net worth advantage. If he's able to keep the lane shoved in like this, you're going to be able to more reliably secure the water runes for your team as well. And now it was just a little bit more about dominating the side lanes, which of course is very important. I'm just wondering, like, when we get to that 5-minute 15 mark, what Old 11's level is going to look like, right? Because it really lessens the weak point of Night Stalker going this Night Rain facet. Now you can actually look to, play a lot more consistently in the lane. Around that time of 5 minutes 15 when it turns to day, oh, hold on. Really, X-Nova getting a little bit unlucky up the top side, but no, we're good. It's going to mean that you're probably about ready to use the Dark Ascension, right? That's the big thing. And I really want to see IG look to try and punish that, because it'll probably be like level 5 or so at that time, maybe like 4.5. So if you can look to punish the Night Stalker when he's in this more difficult period, that's obviously going to be such a huge advantage to them. But he should at least have the boots by that point.
Yeah, I mean, not too much the Chen can do in terms of aggression here against the Night Stalker Pugner. And similar to game 1, but on the opposing team this time, right? You've got the Crystal Maiden, who is very adept at those twin gate moves. So you could have the wrap around top to get a kill on Monet in the next minute or so, and I think that could fit your storyline pretty nicely there, as Old Warrior could bring the numbers and get the pressure going in that top lane from a pretty early point. And Monet already being hammered by Old 11, and Kaka just right-clicks non-stop, relentless damage coming the way of G2.iG in that top spot. Old 11 with a free farm, 30 and 5. Again, laning stage here for Old Warrior, very good. The Slardar now catching up now that the Satyr has left the lane, and it's an honorable 1v1, not a 1v2 anymore. Setsu getting off to a better start.
Sure,
Center on Ursa maybe struggling a touch, but not too drastic.
I'm really looking again for this period in the next like minute or so, especially if Nothing to Say is able to get a power rune. He's not necessarily going to be making rotations, he's just going to keep shoving the lane in, make sure that Setsu isn't able to farm, but he's almost level 6, and now Night Stalker's got that weak point where maybe you actually are able to go for a kill with this Chen Ursa combination. Obviously trying to KS as much as possible. Nothing to Say.
Right, if you land a bushwhack bottom, Maiden is dying.
Yeah.
QIQX gonna have to keep his wits about him.
We'll see how much they're actually being harassed though on the bottom side, just with JT's skill build. Put 2 points in the retaliate. Oftentimes when you're playing with this, hold on, is QIQX going to be able to protect his double bounty? Doesn't seem like it.
There's a haste rune up top.
Much, which a Slardar is going to be able to claim, so still benefit for him there. Oh, actually, he's Nothing to Say in a little bit of danger. Doesn't have the decrep though to be able to slow him down.
Yes, there's some good moves from Old Warrior. Gather up the rune. Stop Nothing to Say from getting any kills. And Kaka making these moves has stolen bounty runes, got some deep vision down here as well. Trying to make a play up towards that top side of the map. And Fly down bottom, just handed some tangos here as he is potentially within that kill threshold of a bushwhack into Thundergod's Wrath. Throw the Acorn at him, but he can't really follow through when he's quick on the fingers with the Shikuchi. Now, though, maybe QIQX with the Blood Grenade and the War Stomp coming. Trying to commit for the Maiden, but JT maybe has overstepped and overstayed his welcome here as they get the kill on the Centaur, and maybe with Fly's move forward, Baboka, he's going to die as well.
The lane's very, very good. This is something that we were praising Old Warrior on in game 1, and I mean, even just the Centaur skill build, which was what I was touching on before they went for that, that haste rune snatch before. Not too often you see Centaurs playing around many points in the retaliate. He's really just getting punished in the laning stage by Fly with this Weaver pick. Obviously, easy to be able to stay away from the Centaur with a hero like the Weaver, and making the most of their power spike as well, our Old Warrior.
Yeah, now that's easily a minute gone by with Thundergod's Wrath not being used. This is meant to be G2.iG getting a number of kills and falling short, but with a move up top, Baboka trying to get the Acorn shot bushwhack onto the Night Stalker, and there's the Thundergod's Wrath to finish the job. Maiden Pugner looking a little worse for wear, but able to at least be defended by their tier 2 towers. They are tucked back pretty far in this top lane.
Wasn't able to aggressively use the glyph. Hold on,
There's another move. Another freebie.
I mean, this is, what the timing that they need to be playing around, though, right? Like, you're making the most of your Thunder Gods, you're making the most of having a Chen, it's still daytime, Night Stalker doesn't have that ultimate, so he doesn't feel comfortable being able to fight. They would have loved to have the glyph still available for an offensive use, just to keep that creep wave and siege creep alive, to potentially, you know, steal away a little bit of this farm, to enable Zeus to maybe yoink away some of those stacks that might start to get built up for Old Warrior, but not the case. Still at least retaining their tower. Now they're going for a smoke of their own. Kaka, not quite yet level 6 yet, but feeling that Setsu's strong enough to be able to make the moves across the map.
Hey, if Kaka comes to your lane with a smoke and says, let's go, you do not question the man. You go, you smoke into enemy jungle, you kill that Chen. Maybe try and grab some creeps on the way out? Oh, they'll take control of the top jungle nonetheless. So yeah, utilizing that aggressive vision very nicely.
For sure. Just keeping my eyes on Kaka as well. Obviously, like I mentioned, with the support you can get a lot done just with a Nether Blast into the tower, but I'm still feeling not that confident to even just go and hit it from the Fog of War. Might be able to layer down a few hits now, which is nice. Be able to burst it down, but at this stage of the game, most of the time you don't want to run into a support. Chen is the exception. Chen is the one that you're looking to try and take out early on, delay that mech timing as much as possible, make sure he's not getting his level 6 as early as possible as well, because Chen is the strongest, yeah, look at him. Chen is the strongest, like, 11, 12-minute hero in the game, in my opinion. And anything that you can do to minimize that is going to be so huge to your team's chances to just not have your map basically entirely taken over, have more towers to be able to play around.
Yeah, delay those timings. Again, kind of similar story, right? Old Warrior are the ones that have to try and put a...
I really want to try and take out this Chen, whose Sentry Ward is slightly out of range. I'm not sure if will IQX be able to do this on his own.
Well, the Hoodwink's getting blown up by that tier 1 nonetheless, while Axe Nova finished off by Setsu. Chen Creep's going to get pummeled down as well, so some good moves here. Really throwing a spanner in the works. Old Warrior getting up in the face of G2.iG. 5-3. Net worth lead, pretty much nothing right now.
And that was without the Dark Ascension. It's now nighttime, so Old 11's weak point is over. He was able to drag that creep wave as well down, so you've got a siege creep hitting into the tower. It's a lot more damage that they're being able to inflict as a result of a couple of really nice wards and some solid movements coming out as well. And again, just delaying that Chen timing, right? He should be level 6 by now. Maybe not the mech, but he should at least be level 6. They were able to secure the Wisdom Rune for themselves, but they just really looked to punish him quite effectively.
Is this another one of these games where G2.iG are more looking for a timing than the snowball? Like, are they kind of setting the trap like they did in game 1 of giving Old Warrior room before shutting the door on them like 30 minutes in?
I wouldn't say so. I'd say they are certainly mindful of playing around that early game, right? I mean, that's why they picked the Chen, both for, you know, sending the Seder creep mid, having that inevitable push, because what they did better than anything in that previous game was, is JT gonna be okay? No, he's not.
Nope. But maybe with a bushwhack into the sharpshooter, thanks to nothing to say his magic damage, they get both of them. On the way out, JT sacrifices himself for a pretty big kill on the Weaver.
Very, very happy to be able to claim that one. So what I was saying before is, like, what they did best last game was, hold on, even more damage potentially coming for Setsu.
Oh, the chain stuns. Oh, Axe Nova with the Hurricane into Centaur stomps, but Setsu's healed back up. The life drain from Kaka comes in clutch. The Wild Wing's coming for you, though. Oh, it doesn't get to the Illusion Rune in time, so Setsu grabs it up.
I think he just heavily jumped a little bit too far back there. Was so close to being able to claim that last hit with the 4 points in the Lightning Bolt. Would have been enough. Really
now the jump.
Setsu instead. Yeah.
Back in. Nothing to say. Getting caught out with a jump stun from Setsu, and Old Eleven's arrived. This Night Stalker. Crippling Fear and the damage over the top gets the kill on him.
Still yet to use the ultimate as well, so they should be able to open up the map quite effectively. So now that it's finally a bit of a moment of peace, they strangled the Mount last game, right? That was the big issue. They just felt like no matter what Old Warrior did, they were losing something even more valuable in return. This time around, if you're taking out the Chen and you're getting towers yourself, like, that is such a huge win for them. Still yet to see a Night Stalker ulti.
So, in the old days, Night Stalker ulti, you wanted to use it like off cooldown because it would extend the nighttime. Is that not the case anymore? Oh, hang on a second.
Hold on.
I'll jump on the Chen. X Nova getting blown up and has the mech, the Hand of God to heal back up, and the Centaur stomps the chain disables on the Slider and the Weaver. Time lapse does come. Fly buys a bit of time for himself as Monet now arrives. The freezing field down from TI13, but it's enraged. The tankiness of the Ursa surviving through it, but not until Old 11 and Fly shuts the door on him. TI13 in the meantime in the backline, stomped down, killed off by JT in a 3-for-2 trade. Old 11 still lurking and looking for a straggler to jump on like X-Nova. Could be a good target for them.
Good micro of his creep, though, making sure that that's the one to be able to see if they are actually going for that deeper dive. Of course, has the Observer Ward as well to be able to play around with. So they were ready to be able to defend that one, but you just see, again, the strength of playing with the Chen. They weren't able to kill X-Nova despite committing quite heavily onto him. Yes, it probably isn't ideal that Monet just walked on in and ended up dying first, pre-Battle Fury as well. Same sort of thing with nothing to say, but this is why Chen is so scary. You're able to get away with your own life a lot of the time. Also have a Dispel now for the Frostbite and the Decrep and the Corrosive Haze if he is able to get into those Guardian Greaves for himself.
Yeah, so Night Stalker, as soon as it turned nighttime, we used to just press Dark Ascension to kind of extend the nighttime, and then by the end of the nighttime, it would be off cooldown anyway.
Yep. No, it was a very valid way to be able to play it because that's the only tool that it had at its disposal, right? But now it just feels like so much more of that. I probably feel like he could have used it once prior to then, but Old 11, they're really trying to do the most to make sure that they're not wasting any of their timings like they did in the last game, right? Like they're actually looking to get active around those key objectives, probably not expecting to have taken that tier 1 tower top at this stage. So the fact that they were means that without even needing to take it, you could have saved it for the mid lane. And he's building into a Blink Dagger pretty damn fast on this Night Stalker as well. So you talk about ways to be able to nullify the impact of not just the Chen, but the Centaur, the Zeus. It's a lot of that save potential. I'm still very mindful of, unless they kill JT, which is a pretty hard task, they're just going to be able to stampede and get away.
Sorry, our observers are they're digging through the archives. Scriff is messaging me saying, so in the old days, Night Stalker ulti used to literally pause nighttime, but that doesn't happen anymore. They changed that 10 years ago. So yeah, that's where my brain is still, guys. My brain is a decade in the past, apparently. Thank you, Scriff, for making me feel my age. 6.83, the patch notes. But the jump in from JT, we'll get a moving on to Setsu. Immediate freezing field, the defense of the Slardar kept him alive while Fly's Weaver, you're right, straight into the backlines of G2.iG, breaking the initiation apart. And nothing to say, he's left stranded now, trying to make his way through the river, but he's already spent his heavenly jump. They'll catch him with the Gleipnir and chase him with Setsu. Down goes the Zeus.
All right. Well, they were able to, they had to use the Stampede a little bit more, not necessarily aggressively, right? But you made the jump and you weren't able to actually confirm it onto anything because you've got this this assistance coming from Kaka. That was a really nice life drain to be able to keep the Slardar alive. And hold on, Setsu, you might be a little bit too far forward here.
Might be.
Singing its praises.
Getting chain stunned up and down he goes. Pretty decent money for JT, and now Monet looking for a bit more. Fly has time lapse still, trying to Shakuchi away from the Ursa now. A sharpshooter flies all the way pretty deep and nearly clips on the Weaver as they blink stomp. JT and Monet go deep onto the Maiden to find the kill.
And all the boys are here, the rally, the Skellies, just enabling them to rip through that tower. This is the sort of Dota that G2.iG are wanting to play. I can't fault him that much for being that deep in the lane, probably not expecting the Invis rune to be picked up by JT, but I mean, he's got a Blink Dagger as well to be able to play around with, so once again, this Centaur, this offlaner, especially for G2.iG, really being the main influence in this game, and they're not going to let up. They're not going to make the same mistake as they did in the previous game, right? Letting that Roshan go when they've got the Ursa lineup for themselves, especially when you've got the Penitence to enable you to take it just that little bit more easily. Even just the Zeus, right? You rip through Rosh so quickly.
Oh, yeah. Now, this could have been another potential steal for Old Warrior, having Slardar and Weaver on your team. You would love to go and snipe the Roshan. But that's Aegis and a freshly purchased Blink Dagger for Monet now. So Ursa's going to have all the freedom in the world to find his man, pick the target he wants to, and eat them alive. G2.iG back in the driving seat, where we would expect them.
Yep. So old 11, he's going into an early Aghanim shard, which I like. You know, gone up against the Chen, pretty important. Gonna see if they get lucky on their team just when they're going for the first Tormentor in about a minute and a half. Of course, Ursa super capable of taking it solo, so I would be surprised if they didn't play for that. They kind of split a little bit away from Monet, and they've got good vision around this sort of area, but no one wants to commit to fighting into that Aegis, it seems.
That's so scary. Maybe you can get a jump on NTS, but he's backed up by the hoodwink.
Coming out to himself as well, so a little bit of extra protection from, of course, the Slardar jump from Night Stalker in particular, right? And it really, the reason I was looking at Night Stalker's items, he's going for the Kanda, which is kind of good this game, but I prefer the Nullifier still. Hey, I still prefer the Nullifier, right? Going up against the eventual Glimmer Cape that I'm sure you're eventually going to get, to go up against the Yule Scepter, to go up against the Overpower from an Ursa, just to enable your team to man fight a little bit more effectively. But clearly he feels like he needs to be a bit more of a burst damage dealer, which, you know what, I don't hate that as well against the Zeus. You're really trying to bait out the use of the Stampede and then use the Glipnir as a follow-up, or find some other form of stun as a follow-up. And Night Stalker, he's pretty speedy as well, just playing around that Dark Ascension, right? You can just find the backlines, keep up with the team when they're trying to rotate.
Axe Nova, this minus armor, oh my god, it's a lot of damage. Not enough to finish him, but Fly basically clears his army. Oh, in the mid lane, JT with nothing to say, trying to make the jump, but the turnaround play here from the Night Stalker and the Pogon are going to blow up the Zeus. Over aggression from G2.iG being punished here by Old Warrior as they charge in towards them. The Stampede not used properly, and they've been caught up and rooted, killed off. This is all during that Aegis timer.
When you're the ones trying to be aggressive, maybe that's why they were positioning themselves so aggressively, right? Playing around the Chen, as they should be, around that sort of period, but Nate, this is a farming Aegis for him, as well as, you know, obviously denying it away from the Weaver Slardar lineup. He feels like he needs that BKB. He needs to be able to commit into the middle of these fights without giving up his own life, and understandably, right, the worst possible thing you can do is blink in, look to try and pick off a support, and you just get decrypt, and you're useless. So I don't hate the fact that he wasn't really part of that previous engagement, but those deaths given away on the rest of the heroes, they're not going to be able to make the most out of this this Aegis for sure.
The classic farming Aegis. Let's get to your next items. Get bigger and bigger. But this Fly Weaver, top of the levels, top of the net worth, and in this top lane, killing tier 2.
He's going his own BKB. Wouldn't hate a Deso or Fly, just to again wipe out a hero at the start of a lot of these engagements. I feel like someone needs to go, okay, good. JT, he's gone on the Lotus Orb, right? That's what you need to be able to protect Nothing to Say in particular. He is the one that's getting a lot of attention being given over to him. So is JT, though.
Ooh, Atos, Yules, lots of spells being cast on this Weaver, and the Thunder God's Wrath nearly finishes him off, but the blink stop after the time lapse. Fly, Shikuchi away, they've killed the Maiden, she's down and out, but JT, the Hand of God, not enough to save his life. Centaur dead, and the remaining seconds of this Aegis being used through aggression. G2.iG wanting that little bit more from this fight, but good resilience there.
Was in? What?
Holy shit, okay, Monet. I was going to say good resilience from Old Warrior just to hold back and wait and bide their time, and Monet says, patience? I've got damage.
It's got plenty of it. I'm not sure if, I wasn't necessarily looking, but that might be an impact of the changes to the Ursa, right? He's gone the level 10 talent for the plus 20 seconds on the Fury Swipes reset time. He's also got the bear down facet. So Fury Swipes actually lasts for 48 seconds onto people. So maybe in a previous part of that team fight, Fly had just taken a few stray hits, which meant that damage just ramps up so much more quickly.
Yeah, and then he's got the Earthshock talent as well. So suddenly he's got 5, 6, 8, 10 stacks of the Fury Swipes on him, just disappears.
Took 921 damage in 1 second from right clicks there.
Jeez. No messing around. Well, back into things with the minus armor on the Tormentor. They'll get themselves a shard for Kaka.
Yeah,
I'll see what they can.
Greatest one.
That's what we're going to do out on the map after it. G2.iG with that fight, you know, kind of not utilizing the Aegis very well, then finding that perfect fight, getting a kill on the cores. Yeah, we'll watch it back here. I just disappears.
1, 2, 3. There.
Of course, yeah, having a bit of reveal always helps.
Oh, we were talking about it at the start of the game, but I'm sure Bobica said, "Team, play around my vision." I've put down some of this aggressive vision, and Karkos is just enabled to walk up and deward it. Not exactly what you're wanting when, hold on, bit of an aggressive move onto Fly up top. I'm not sure if JT, I guess he feels tanky enough.
Well, Fly has to use the time lapse, but look at who's tracking back. The Thunder God's Wrath gives the vision for the Ursa to chase in onto him. Oh, Fly, you've overstepped now. And QIQX has walked in towards the Chen. The Ancient Black Dragon. Ooh, Setsu. Onto Baboka with Old 11 in the back. A lot of heal comes the Hoodwink's way, but that's that. Down and out.
Old 11.
Do you want to fight into this? Munch on some Chen creeps. Monet is the one who blinks aggressively again. Getting up in the face of Old Warrior. Old 11.
Most Stampede's been used, so that's really what's making them want to go in deeper, right? They want to make sure that there's no way for these squishier backliners to be able to escape, and 11 still wants to commit, but the rest of his team is saying, nah, too deep, man. Can't look to go that aggressively, especially when your Dark Ascension is just wearing off in a couple of seconds.
So I've got a Kanda. Let me go nuke him. Do half his HP with one void.
It's tempting. Look at those aggressive wards placed down as well by Old Warrior. They want to go for these deep dives right next to the tower. Just give them no avenue of escape, but so successful this time.
Pretty quick smoke out here from G2.iG. No Zeus involved with this, and no Thunder God's Wrath for a little bit. It's going to be down to JT, Blink Stomp into Monet damage.
And it's the Lotus Orb as well. Obviously just providing a lot of armor for himself, but again, just ways to be able to, yes, see you later QIQX, be able to protect the Zeus. I think that's the biggest thing, because nothing to say, haven't really noticed him that much this game, but still 5, 4, and 6, plenty healthy net worth. And if we haven't seen too much influence him so far, imagine what can happen if now his team fights just get broken open because of the fact that he's got that extra layer of protection.
It gives him so much more freedom. Dead.
Once again, immediately play around Roshan once again.
Yeah.
G2.iG making a move together down towards the bottom side of the map. Should be on ready inside the Roshan's banner as well. How do you feel about the changes to the banner, making the creeps immune?
But it's usable now. Roshan's banner is an item that you can actually use and it does something, so it feels pretty good. I
really weakens
feel like
that high ground defense as well, which is nice.
Yeah, I think it's honestly in a good place. Like, my gut reaction was that shit broken. you know? Just like all these glyphed up creeps running towards you.
Hold on.
Monet smoke breaks onto Setsu. The Blink Stomp from JT comes quickly. Decrep, though, buys time. A bit of safety for Setsu to get away. The Thunder God's Wrath doesn't finish him off either. The Swarm is over onto the Chen and his creeps in the back lines as Old 11 makes the real beeline in towards the Hoodwink here. Aggressive move. Crippling Fear trying to silence them up. And a Decrep to buy some time, defend him against the physical damage. They've dragged this fight out to allow Fly to time-lapse away. Move in, though, from JT. The two-man stop is perfect. Allows Monet to get to the Crystal Maiden, but
everyone's alive.
Saves. Everyone's alive, buying their time, just delaying the fight for as long as possible until they come back in for round 24. Another Crippling Fear, another Gleipnir. They'll kill off. No, they don't. Old Leather survives. Now he dies. Boga gets the kill, but they've lost out JT and X-Nova. Monet falls, and Old Warrior have cracked the egg. The Hoodwink and Zeus, the only survivors, as Roshan has respawned. And Setsu still going for the Zeus. He's used up. Can he go for that next round? Another jump in, 5 seconds time with a blink dagger, but he's going to have to call it quits there.
He will. Even just the small things in that fight, like it was a constant de-warding battle as well, just going back and forth. I think there were 3 observer wards that ended up going back and forth there in that team fight, just for a little bit of that extra vision. Much more imperative as well for G2.iG to have that one for themselves, as Fly will be able to get away with yoinking the Wisdom Rune too. Because you're not playing with the Night Stalker, right? Night Stalker just has complete vision of that team fight. It doesn't matter if they have a ward up top or not. It's just a matter of making sure that G2.iG didn't have that tool to be able to play around, because then it means nothing to say can't play as aggressively. He can't go onto the front lines because it's going to mean that he just gets ripped apart by this lineup, and they still end up losing it, and they're going to lose Roshan too.
But does Decrep not have a cooldown when Kaka's playing it? Because I was like, Crystal Maiden has a Ghost Scepter, right? No, doesn't. There's like Decrep on Night Stalker, Decrep on Maiden, Decrep on Night Stalker again, as Glimmer Staffs, Glimmer Staffs. Yeah, that's a new item. Glimmer Capes and Force Staffs, all sorts of good stuff. So many saves and tools being used by Old Warrior to pull out the little millimeters of advantage in that team fight was very nice to watch.
Even stuff like Crystal Clone as well, just to give, it's a lot more usable now. You can be running away and still push yourself, like a mini Force Staff, still a little bit further in that direction. And, you know, obviously the root feels good too. But yeah, just so much being used, really good coordination coming through from Old Warrior, something that we kind of criticized them on in game number 1. They've fixed up a lot of those mistakes though so far, and they are going for that Nullifier on Flyfire, the item that I said I thought they really needed. I thought it was really ballsy as well for Old 11 to just go in that deep. He ended up getting away on about 200 HP before getting healed up as well.
Twice.
So, twice. Without a BKB. And he's going to have it in 600 gold.
Well, he's dropped a tier 3 token and not picked it up,
Yeah,
so let's...
I noticed it. Hopefully someone else on the team does.
Captain Kaka. Oh, there we go. He spotted it now. Someone's looked in the shop and they're like, where's that token, boys? There we go.
Me.
Still kind of wild though, with that Aegis, with that kind of turn of events. Old Warriors still at a deficit in terms of net worth, and I guess that's just props to G2.iG and their well-oiled machine of farming and controlling the map. This next team fight, I guess the next few team fights, still going to be a real test of Old Warriors' mettle.
So I know it's no. He's no stranger to it, but having gone at last game, Bobika's going a Nullifier as well. On his Hoodwink. I mean, makes a lot of sense. I mean, he is a really big damage dealer in a lot of these team fights if he's able to land the good Acorn shot, but it just goes to show the importance of it, right? Imagine no Force Stuff, no Glimmer Cape, no Decrep. It's just so much more save that you've got to be able to play around. Also is going to give a lot of value if they are able to get into Ogre Seal Totems, for example, on Old Warrior. The one thing that Nullifier has no impact against.
Yeah. Yeah, we've seen this a little bit. I think DY's Phoenix in previous tournaments has gone for like Nullifier Rush as a POS5 Phoenix. Okay, games where he's ahead, but just knowing that this is the utility item I need. I don't need Urn, I don't need Yules, nothing. I can buy Tranquil's Wand Nullifier, and that's my hero sorted.
Hold on, Monet. What are you doing down here? He's used his TP as well.
They're stampeding to try and get him out, but the bash comes out of Setsu.
Not a chance.
He's trying to turn and fight, but he's 1 versus 4. You say not a chance? He's putting up a pretty good brawl here.
Not a chance with that Nullifier. I mean, you saw it come through, right? He tried to turn around and brawl, and it just instantly dispels off the overpower. You can't find that big AoE cleave Battle Fury to be able to come out. That is a huge kill for them to be able to claim without a ward as well. And now they should be able to at least get, what is that? Their complete tier 2 domination. They're looking for more though. They're not happy with just a core kill. Want to be able to pick off Nothing to Say.
They want to push
a Fly coming at him.
This is getting into having your cake and eating it too territory a little bit here though. Like they push out bottom, they push mid, they're trying to catch heroes, they're doing a lot on the map and spreading their efforts pretty thin.
Yeah.
They're going to keep the pressure out.
Agna, right? Agna can push solo.
Yeah, they're going to keep pressure bottom lane at least. Like, so I guess in that situation, if you hadn't gone hunting for a hero, you would have killed that tier 2 bottom lane now.
Sure. Maybe just expecting to catch someone, right? Like, that is... It's understandable, but again, props need to be given to G2.iG. Like, if they're not pushing their tower, they know at this stage of the game, Old Warrior don't need to farm. They've got their items that they need to be able to, for their case, hopefully close out the game. And they're only going to get stronger as well. QIQX, he's going for a drums, and it synergizes perfectly with all 3 of their cores. There are games where, it's a good Boots of Bearing game, but not that amazing. This time around is just godly.
Speaking of support items, the Chen with Assault Cuirass.
Sure. I'm surprised that they weren't. Okay, they do eventually end up getting that D ward off.
Assault Cuirass Greaves, and he's got the craggy coat. And good luck doing damage. Okay, it's in the backpack. Good luck doing physical damage to him. Chen's a tanky boy. So Baboka's farming enemy ancients. You got a couple of people playing up top, pushing out the waves elsewhere as best they can. Yeah, now the line's drawn here from Old Warrior saying we've got to cut across the map and stop this from happening. Cannot let them get the free farm.
He's got it if he wants to just buy it up now. Comes to the question of, you know, are we looking to save for buyback? I wonder when the last time people actually saw him on the lane was, because it's very tempting to, you know, use your spells onto the creep wave, push that out, but it's just so much more frustrating when you feel like you might not necessarily have the right kind of catch.
He's just farming all the enemy ancients.
Sure.
Annoying little fella.
Pretty hard to kill. That's the way. Across the He's just gone back and forth constantly.
Yeah.
Not showing at all on the lane.
What are you meant to do?
And he'll have his buyback after he gets this next creep wave, but in the meantime, they're looking to try and get a quick pick off onto JT here.
Nothing's quick about that, is it? 4,000 health Centaur with Stampede. Yeah, you want someone else.
Shivas.
Can we find it?
Hold on.
Target maybe here with a crippling fear. They get onto JT, drop the Nimbus to try and hold them back as they get through the force field and safely into their base. Old 11 BKB tried to play aggressively, but now the fly. Oh my god, the damage!
The bash!
He got the takedown on the Weaver, and now onto the Maiden. Monet's Ursa, the Hungry Bears come out to picnic. Setsu trying to sprint away. Let's see, with the Nullifier, the BKB. Blink out by the Slardar, leaving Kaka isolated to die to the rest of them. Setsu does TP home successfully, but 3 heroes down, and G2.iG, again, just finding that little bit of oomph to execute better than Old Warrior.
The balls on them to be able to go back into this. There was no reason for them to need to do that, right? Like, you weren't playing into an Aegis, but you'd used everything. You'd used BKBs, you'd used Dark Ascension, you'd used a lot to try and go for that kill. Would have been very easy for them to just back on up, wait 30 seconds, and then look to go immediately after that, but really wanting to just stamp their foot down saying, we're ready to go back on in. Monet feels incredibly strong, and he's going to be working into that Abyssal Blade as well, so needing to be a little bit more careful on the positioning coming through from Fly. Just that AC putting in work.
And so quickly, you know, how fast have we moved from dire tormentor area to pressuring bottom and mid tier 3, thanks to a Chen, a Hoodwink, just sprinting out across the map.
Well, right? Like, Wild Ring Ripper is nice for the mini 4 stuff, but even just an additional 3 armor for your entire team. And then you've got the Granite Aura, 19% bonus health for everyone on your team. And you can even combine that together with Ursa, right? That feels like a pretty decent combination as well, considering his Maul innate, getting more damage based off of his current HP. So stuff like that that's just going to buff you up further feels really good.
Man, so nice. Oh, a little bit early to the Roche pit there. 30 seconds to go as the Radiant kill the Tormentor, but everybody has their shard already. We're missing out on what? The Zeus and the Hoodwink shards on the Dire team there, so they've still got a little bit of growing to do. It looks like they want to make a play before going into Roche, so he's respawning in less than 10 seconds, but this is the big team fight that's going to lead up into it.
Nothing. I wonder if he even wants to join this team fight at all, or if he feels like he can just stay completely back away from the rest of the team in safety. Because he's got the Nimbus as well to be able to make plays.
Oh my god.
Will that Courier give them away? The Courier might give them away.
The Courier over the top. He's trying to scout the high ground. Radiant Vision. Is that one up on the high ground there? Taken out by Baboka? Yeah, that's gone now. So absolutely both teams know where each other are. JT,
hold on,
with a Thunder God's Wrath, gets on top of Setsu, forces Old 11's hand as well, who pops his ultimate immediately.
No BKBs popped at least. But they really want to just maintain control over this high ground. Not going to be able to though, giving up such valuable vision.
The vision game. Obs Ward getting sniped out. The gem and the sentries paying off big time. In comes Old 11. Again with this BKB crippling fear, trying to get over the top of X-Nova with the Gleipnir and Setsu here. Hand of God and the heal back up with the Greaves. X-Nova, he's going to stay alive a little bit longer. Drag this one out to allow Monet to do the damage.
He's still alive.
Chen is still going. He's alive, up and running. They can't quite catch up to Setsu, but Old 11's going to offer himself to the Nimbus and the Thunder God's Wrath. But nothing to say Zeus will take him down. X-Nova did finally die, but Fly and TI13 trying to overseal Totem flop away, but down you go. The Centaur, he's a bigger flopper than you are.
It just flops all over him. And it's the additional benefit as well, of course, right, of just being able to get yourself out of that crippling fear when you're playing with the Centaur, right? That's the thing holding him back from being able to pop the Stampede previously. Not so much anymore. Of course, the benefit that you're able to get playing around the additional strength too always feels quite nice. And now he's even got a BKB to play around as well. So probably afford to actually give up that oversealed Totem. They end up securing the Refresher Shard. Rozik is the one holding on to it for now.
All right.
Would imagine. I mean,
Zeus.
Pretty good for Ursa to get it. No, he's already got a Refresher Orb on Zeus.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. There it does.
Going into the Scythe of Ice as well. Gotta say, it's a bit of a bonus of convenience coming through from Monet as well. Of course, Ursus want to go into the Abyssal Blade anyway, but when you're going up against... Hold on, yeah.
JT just pirouetted, ballerina style, sidesteps the crush, gets a good stomp on Setsu. It looks like he's out of there, slips away.
You want to go the Basher anyway, but the Vanguard component of it as well is just going to help out Monet so much, right? You can actually look to commit yourself a little bit deeper into these team fights because of the, a little bit more, not much, but a little bit more protection being given against that physical damage on top of the Greaves, on top of the heals, on top of, everything else that you've got. And Popica's got a Daedalus and DD. You got to be mindful of this Hoodwink.
He's a monster.
He's the one to go on.
Look at that damage, it's like 500 damage, close to. Pretty nutty. Have you seen anyone in the last year buy a Vanguard for it being a Vanguard, though?
No, not on its own. Into like a Crimson, there's occasions for it, but...
You say even into a Crimson. I've seen a couple of Crimson Guard pickups, and none of them have been buy Vanguard and then upgrade to Crimson. They have been just like go to shop, buy Crimson Guard.
Yeah. Not a natural build-up.
No. Or it's like buy the Helm of Iron Will and then into it.
Yeah.
And Vanguard
so again, you just can't run up into this line. I'm gonna try, but I'm not sure how successful that's gonna be. They're so tanky.
I mean, Setsu just puts the puddle down. BKB's up. Goes to Pound Town onto JT. The life drain drops him to about half HP. But the Centaur will flop back away to safety now. Still holding Stampede, and the BKB is Fly and Old 11 trying to charge forward. But there's the Stampede and a bit of heal coming out of the Chen. Pops the Greaves. Everyone stays alive. And G2.iG in fighting shape just to continue poking this high ground with the Roshan's banner down. The catapults are glyphed up. Not too much here to stop it. And Monet is poking at Old 11 on the right-hand side of the fight as well. Fly.
Take it out.
He tried to come in here, gets stomped up, but they turn onto JT quickly. The Centaur oversteps his bounds as Monet's coming here to clear out the tower. Does get rooted on his way out, and the Nimbus will offer some protection as well. Old 11 on the left side. The sit down. The Thunder God's Wrath. Fly forced the time lapse as Monet goes on the Setsu for the decrypt. Gets the save with Kaka helping out. TI13 dead to the Acorn shot bounce of Baboka. The Hoodwink opens up with some tremendous damage as the tier 3 has died, but the barracks are still standing pretty strong here. Maiden has bought back. Night Stalker has his. JT has also bought back to come right into the fray yet again to finish off the buildings. So a lane of barracks here for G2.iG, and it looks like they're heading into mid as well.
They've still got that Aegis to be able to play around with. They've still got the Chen creeps doing the majority of the work, just protecting up the rest of the team. I'm surprised at how aggressively Nothing to Say was positioning at the very end there, but I guess just feeling like he's not in any kind of danger with the Night Stalker dead.
They're trying again to poke at Monet. He's still got Aegis for a minute and a half, though. Even if he dies here, I don't think he's too bothered by it. And away we go. The tier 3 mid lane nearly dead. And G2.iG going to reposition themselves back onto this enemy ancient's high ground.
He's got an Arcane Rune as well, and Scythe now, for Nothing to Say. heroes to have to play around this. You just saw how they were able to delete Old 11 off the face of the Dota map purely through the Zeus, right? Like, he loves these late game team fights. When your health is getting more, static field is going to be just as impactful, if not more so, and more importantly, the BKBs are running low. Finally able to get into that nullifier for the Night Stalker. I really feel like...
Fly. Oh, fly. Are you gonna die? Die. He's gone. 94 seconds. Karko charged out now with GT stampeding forward. Old Warrior have a couple of buybacks left in them here, and they're going to have to pop them to defend their base because they are being overrun by this Ursa Warrior. JT with another move, has to BKB up. He brought back previously as Old 11
just TPing out
into the back lines. JT just going to get the hell out of there as Old 11 nearly dies. The life drain his own BKB. Keep him up and running. Nothing to say, not quite with the finishing damage as Fly, shiny and golden, moving forward. Hurricane plugs the Ursa back, but then comes the match. Another ton of control, takes down the Weaver, dead with no buyback. And this looks like it's all over now. Game 2, G2.iG charging towards victory. And Old Warrior with nothing left to give but a salute and a say goodnight.
That's right. And, I mean, it really was nothing to say that slammed the door shut, right? All of that magic damage. I feel like this Night Stalker didn't do enough to be able to punish it, right? Not the worst kill score, right? 5, 5, and 10, but a Zeus late game